So, starting with the Examiner. A new sheriff in town. Can O'Neill bring the glory days back to Nottingham Forest? He's looking at the training session going, oh my God, these players are even worse than I thought they were. Actually, I don't know. I mean, it's mad, the separation in how people perceive Martin O'Neill. Chris Sutton came out and defended him fairly significantly, saying, look, yeah, got to the Euros, then results weren't great after that, but not having it that he was a dinosaur and the players didn't know their roles. But the players who were involved said they didn't know their roles. So I don't know. Maybe like Chris Sutton was already a man by the time he got to Celtic. He'd already won a league. He'd played for one of the best managers of his generation in Kenny Dalglish and knew what he was supposed to be doing. Maybe this Ireland team didn't have enough grown men in it.
And maybe there is a larger point about international football there in general. That is the international manager's role, to take the collection of what's already there and get the best out of them. And there's going to be no arm around the shoulders. There's going to be no real coaching in terms of self-improvement and all that sort of thing. And it's just about being, almost like being a Ryder Cup captain. You have a collection of individuals and you just get the most out of them for whatever, the week and a half that you have them for. Now, obviously, did Martin O'Neill get the best out of his Irish players? I think the answer to that, particularly from what we saw in 2018, is no. And Chris Sutton would probably have a different view to a lot of people on that, I suspect.
He agreed that he didn't over the last, since the Euros, get the best out of them. Walters, Angel's Breath looks something special. So, Supreme Novices hurdle favourite Angel's Breath will put his Cheltenham credentials to the test at Haydock on Saturday, with owner Di Walters describing him as something special. It's the front of the Racing Post this morning. I'm looking at the front of the Times and it's like everybody celebrating Theresa May's defeat last night. Everybody thinks it's a win for them. Like, literally everybody goes, this is the best thing that possibly could have happened. Those people who want a new vote, those people who want, you know, a little England for the English, think it's amazing. And everybody besides, which we'll talk about a little bit later, especially over here. O'Neill set to link up with Keane again. This is the news coming through that there's been a second meeting with Roy Keane and Nottingham Forest, and it's going well.
I think he's going to be appointed today by the sounds of things.
Yeah, it's just, you know, generally the second meeting it gets done. It's a done deal and everybody shakes hands and it's like announced and you just move on, but it's becoming a big deal again, isn't it?
The idea that they shouldn't appoint Roy Keane as...
No, just that Keane is getting involved.
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure how much he would have thought about this once the Ireland job was done and dusted, that he was going to attach himself to Martin O'Neill once again. Maybe he really enjoys working under O'Neill. Like, are we wiping the slate clean when it comes to the record? What happens if they get Nottingham Forest promoted next season and they have their first full run at the... Is that...
They can sign a winger who can get to the byline and whip in some crosses for their centre forward.
Well, that's like that seems to be like the dream for Martin O'Neill, that he can actually sign a player that's better than the crop he's dealt with. Not exactly an ideal situation when you're an international manager. So maybe we'll be reminded of the transfer market genius that is Martin O'Neill, and he'll do a sublime job with Roy Keane as his lieutenant. Like there are some questions now about, like, where is Roy Keane's career going? Is he happy to be an assistant manager for the rest of his career or for the foreseeable future? If so, that's fine. I always thought that he was a man who wanted a little bit more in terms of becoming a manager, becoming the number one. And after his last spell at Ipswich, that it really was just a stopgap being assistant manager at the Republic of Ireland. And he would have said in 2016, not even going back as far as 2011 when he was at Portman Road, 2016 at the Euros. After that, you would have thought, right, okay, what happens now? We got to try and keep these guys. If Roy Keane needs to go and spread his wings a little bit,
let him go.
Good luck to him. Whereas now, it's been a damaging couple of years.
Yeah, it was, you know, everybody always stays in that job too long, except Mick McCarthy. Obviously, he's going to get out just the right time after we've won the Euros.
Yeah, like the great news this morning is that Troy Parrott could now be in line for a few Spurs appearances or bench appearances since Harry Kane is injured. Michael Obafemi, once he comes back, bet he's going to start banging into goals again. Declan Rice is going to declare for Ireland. Jeff Hendrick should have had that goal at the weekend. Kieran Clark scored at the weekend. Things are looking up.
It's all coming up, Mick. If Mick gets Declan Rice to play for Ireland, I will forgive him for his Saipan.
Yeah, like you say, all managerial careers end in failure, but if he gets Declan Rice to play for Ireland, he should quit before the Gibraltar game, because no results would be as good as the result that is getting Declan Rice to be Irish.
Rojo facing exit as Manchester United plan overhaul in defence. Fair play. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is walking in and going, what? Look at these guys, they're crap. What are you doing here? Get out. Get out. Don't come back.
He literally said that to Rojo. Rojo's gone back to Argentina. I'm not, to be fair, it kind of looks like a fairly serious enough situation. I'm not sure what's actually going on. So he went to the warm weather training camp, I think, and then he was told to go back to Argentina. I think he needs to get his headspace right. And by the sounds of things, it seems like Solskjaer wants to give him another opportunity to try and be in a good headspace, fully fit, on the pitch for Manchester United. But then again, time is against him.
He's injured. So they've been linked with Koulibaly. Everybody gets linked with him because he's good.
Yeah.
But what we've seen from particularly Liverpool is when they get linked with a player who's good, they just go and get him. There's been a few bits and pieces where they haven't. But again, they were players who might not join immediately, who would join next year. But it's like, oh, Virgil van Dijk's very good. Liverpool are linked with him. They illegally tapped him up, tried to steal him for a while, had a massive row with the club who owned him, and then still got him eventually. That's it took a little bit longer maybe than they anticipated. But rather than us reading about it, why are we not going, oh, Koulibaly's on a private jet on his way to Manchester United. He's signing the contract on the plane. That's how much they want him.
Well, does that suggest that Manchester United don't really want him then?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It seems that the idea of going and getting what you want is a fairly obvious move, particularly in modern football and the competitiveness in the transfer market and the urgency with which Manchester United need to sign somebody. So that suggests to me that perhaps they're not fully invested in who they actually want, rather than not being able to go and get it.
Tier 2 Championship off the agenda is the headline on a Colm Keys piece. A second tier Championship will not be on the agenda at GAA Congress next month, as more time and work is required to get a broader consensus on what might meet with approval. So, November Central Council meeting gave broad support to the idea, according to a subsequent statement released. The indications were that this weekend's Central Council meeting would point the way towards Congress a few weeks later, but it's now likely to be addressed later this year with a decision on whether to split Division 3 and 4 teams after the Provincial Championships or after the second round of qualifiers, the key issue.
Not for you? You're not buying that?
We're just keeping the Provincial Championships for the sake of nonsense, bullshit tradition. It makes no sense. The system is broken. It makes no sense. No one's going to the games anymore. It makes no sense. It's not getting any better.
The key point, though, is that it's not just tradition. It's the power of provincial councils who get revenue from these provincial matches.
Give them a cut from every game that takes place in their province and match the same amount that they're getting, and then do those backroom deals and give us a blank slate and say, what's the best way to organise 32 teams? I wish 32 was a nice, easily divisible number. If only we could do the maths to go, if only they worked in 4 equal divisions of something or other.
Well, they'll tell you that there's actually 33 counties that play in the Football Championship. So
there aren't.
Well, there
New York.
New York, London, but no Kilkenny.
Yeah, but at New York, sorry lads. You can play in the pre-season tournament, which is like the Connacht Championship, and come over and back, and away we go.
Them versus Kilkenny can be like a mini tournament.
Yeah, the winners get to play the All-Stars in New York every year.
Or Singapore.
Yeah. All right, Sports Wednesday. Sexton ruled out a Wasps clash. Frustrated Gibson Park battling for game time on 2 fronts. New Zealand are set to make its first start for Leinster in the Champions Cup against Wasps. This is with the 8 weeks that we're expected Luke McGrath to be out. Halfpenny included in the extended squad, so the Wales have named their squad. Warren Gatland very confident that Wales are going to be the team to beat in this year's Six Nations. I would agree with him. Munster and Toulouse on the right track to knocking Leinster off their perch.
How can you possibly say that Wales are the team to beat? Okay, fair enough. You think they're going to win?
They've got Ireland at home.
Fair enough if you believe that they're
got Ireland at home. They've got the best fixture list.
The team to beat suggests that they are the best team, unquestionably, in this current competition.
Team to beat, I would say, suggests the team most likely to win. I don't know if Ireland are going to play all their best players in every game. I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe this is going to be like this signature statement where we slalom our way to a Grand Slam, hammering teams. Maybe that's what we're going to do.
I know I'm being pedantic here, but that does not signify the team to beat. The team to beat are Ireland's. Like, the best team in the competition, the one that everybody wants to take down, is us.
Okay.
Wales, you can say, are probably going to win it, but if you can make that case, they're not the team to beat.
Great point.
Back page of the Irish Daily Mail is Schmidt woe, McGrath out of Six Nations as injuries pile up, and there's that Sen and Connell story as well. The Dubs won't take back Connolly, he says. Back page of the Herald is Kane's pain, Troy's gain. Dublin teen Parrott gets Spurs chance with Harry out till March, and Keane thrashing out number 2 deal with Nottingham as well on the back page there. Back page of the Irish Daily Star is miracle worker. O'Neill will get transfer funds to guide Forest back to the Premier League. And we've had a couple of interesting stories from Manchester United, as you've already mentioned. But another one here this morning. It might not be Marcus Rojo that's departing Old Trafford. It might be Marouane Fellaini. He's set, according to Jeremy Cross here in the Star, to become the first casualty of Solskjaer's reign. And he's completed 31 minutes of first team action under the Norwegian at this point, and apparently Solskjaer doesn't really fancy him, according to this particular newspaper report. So it's Fellaini versus Rojo. Who's going to be the first sale from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? We'll see in a couple of days and weeks, I do suspect. Back page of the Mirror is Calamity Kane. Her for Spurs. The striker is ruled out until March, missing 11 key games. And Harry Kane is also on the back page of The Guardian. But the main story here is that the Arsenal plan is left in tatters, with key man set to walk away. So that's Sven Mislintat, the head of recruitment. The hotshot from Dortmund they signed about a year and a half ago. He's leaving Arsenal. He was signed by Ivan Gazidis. Gazidis, of course, has moved on to AC Milan. So it's worrying times from an Arsenal perspective. Front page of the Daily Telegraph is relief for Rafa, as Newcastle United beat Blackburn 4-2 away from home after extra time in the FA Cup. And then finally on the back page of The Sun is We Won't Choke. Mane sure Reds can be champions at last. But I do want to bring one more story from The Sun, because it's kind of been a trend on the show this week, where we've been speaking about veganuary. Of course, Keith Andrews on the show yesterday was speaking about how he's all for veganism. But,
you are too.
Yeah, well, Keith's actually followed through on it. I'm all talk, no action. But the idea of veganism has taken a hammer blow this morning, Ger, because people who don't eat meat don't work hard, according to TD Danny Healy-Rae. So we need to have a good look at Keith Andrews' productivity. He says,
go on.
If there was a shovel put into their hands...
No, you have to... what part of the world is he from?
He's from Kerry, isn't he?
No, from what part of Kerry?
Like southeast Kerry.
Clorglen, is it?
No, Kilgarvan.
Kilgarvan. So you have to do, it says here, get him to do a Kilgarvan accent.
I can't really do it. I can't do accents. People know that.
Come on.
If there was a shovel put into their hands, they'd starve with the hunger, says Danny Healy-Rae.
Yeah, kind of went for that. Do it again. Go for it now.
There's more quotes here. Healy-Rae, 56, of Kilgarvan, County Kerry, carped. Them fellas that are talking about stopping people eating meat have never worked hard. If you're a hard worker, do a day's work, there's nothing to bring you back to revive you again than a piece of good meat. Whether it is bacon and cabbage, or whether it is beef or mutton stew, if you don't have that, you won't rise out the following day. Did you have your beef and mutton stew yesterday? Is that why you're so awake and sprightly this morning?
I actually did have...
You have beef and mutton in the same stew? Is that what he's saying here?
I don't know. Do you?
That's a meaty feast right there.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you've got to use up those old bits of mutton.
You could actually hear the sheep and cows screaming in Kilgarvan at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure they use the humane killer.